What if Deku had a perfect copy quirk on part 1? I'm doing this what if because I ran out of ideas for what if Issei was a dragon god. So, I won't abandon this what if. This will be a new what if. Is test tube 001 ready? Said All For One. As All For One was also in the test tube healing because of the last battle with All Might versus All For One. All For One may have damaged All Might's body, but All For One may have damaged All Might's body, but all into his stomach. All Might had the abilities of the quirks of the past users in this reality. And All Might used all of the quirks of the past user plus One For All to nearly defeat All For One. But this was bad for All For One since the damages One For All had caused were beyond repair. And even his doctor was in sad news because he did test on All For One's body. And it doesn't matter how many healing quirks All For One has gotten. It doesn't matter how many healing quirks All For One's got. His body is so damaged beyond repair. And then the doctor said to All For One, this was still in All For One's flashback, that if we even try to heal your body or perform surgery or anything like that, or try to give you another healing quirk, your body is so damaged that you might even die in the process, so it's no use. And this body will never be able to walk again. But I have a solution though. Let me stop drinking my Capri Sun. I have a solution. How about I give you a new body? We can have test subjects. And we can make them a part of the All For One project. The project where they will be your vessel and they will be your new body. So that you will be able to move and so that you will not die in this body. Because if you're in this body for at least 5 more years, you will die, and it's guaranteed. So yeah, the All For One project, founded by All For One himself. Idea came from the doctor. All For One project. They have been kidnapping kids throughout all of Japan. And sadly, Izuku Yagi Midoriya. Yes, I got that from a Wattpad. Izuku Yagi has been one of All For One's victims. Kidnapped victims. Izuku was test tube 001. He was the perfect experiment, you see. All of the rest of the experiments have died throughout this process. They all have died. That's because their bodies couldn't handle the quirk of All For One. But the doctor had research on Izuku's body, the reason why Izuku was able to handle the genes of All For One. And the reason Izuku has this ability to handle the genes and stuff of All For One is because Izuku has the quirk to being able to adapt to absolutely anything. His body is physically able to adapt to anything. It doesn't matter if it's pain, science experiments, etc. His body is able to just adapt to it and protect itself or reach new heights. So yeah, his body is able to do that. So the doctor thought of Izuku as a perfect experiment because of his quirk. It doesn't matter what you hit at him, his body will be able to adapt to it. That's why Izuku had become All For One's vessel. He had become the vessel of All For One. And that's when All For One, and now out of flashback, Izuku was the perfect experiment for All For One. As then All For One said, has the quirk transfer process been completed? As the doctor said yes. As then the doctor put on a helmet with a 14-year-old Izuku. Izuku was 14 years old. And All For One was like 50 to 60, 57. And the helmet, and All For One's, and the helmet was connected to All For One and Izuku. And then the doctor began to turn on the helmet. When the doctor turned on the helmet, it was so bright. The flashing lights were so bright, it nearly knocked out all of the power in like the League of Villains lair and in the entire facility. It drained all of the power. But once the process was over, the machine process was over, All For One's consciousness has been transported into Izuku's body. As All For One decided to wake up, as he saw his old body, as he started to move again, as he was happy, like he was really happy. But and All For One, he was really happy. Then All For One, he tried to use his quirk. But then he realized that he doesn't have his quirks that he's stolen anymore. He has to start back from square one. He only has his All For One quirk. As then the doctor was surprised that he doesn't have all of his quirks. But then the doctor also said, do not worry, Master, about not having your quirks. You can always steal some quirks again and get back to square one. And then Izuku went up to his old body and tried to steal the quirk of that old body. But there was only one quirk in there, which surprised All For One. This quirk was lightning manipulation. This was red and black lightning manipulation. It can create and control the lightning. It can create and control, and also the user is able to create and control and transform into red and black lightning itself. As an All For One, at seeing that he's gained this ability, it felt different the way he gets the quirk. It didn't feel like he stole the quirk. It felt like he replicated it. As then Izuku told the doctor, I feel different. It doesn't feel like I've stolen the quirk. As then the doctor said, don't worry, I'll find out what this is. I'll run more tests on you. An hour later, he ran tests on Izuku, and he realized, and on All For One's old body, and he realized that Izuku's adaptive body must have created a new quirk. It must have replaced it, but it's similar to All For One because he has All For One's genes, but because of the quirks and stuff. It's similar to All For One because he has All For One's genes, but his body must have created a new quirk to adapt to it. So he basically tells All For One that your quirk, the body that you're currently in right now, basically replaced this quirk. It replaced your All For One quirk, but it's very similar. You can do like most of the things All For One can do, but this time you can't steal it. Instead, you can copy any quirk, but your body also gave you an amped version of All For One, because now with this app version, you could probably even copy One For All itself. As All For One was in shock that with this body, he can probably copy One For All now. And then the doctor basically explains to him that with this new quirk that this body had created with your old quirk, this quirk is able to copy absolutely any quirk with no limit. It can copy mutation quirks, transformation quirks, and emitter quirks, any type of quirk. And this body can also pass down quirks like your old quirk, and it also can combine quirks. And you can also copy as many quirks as you want with no limitations, even if it is the same quirk. And you know what the best part about this quirk is? As All For One then said, what is the best part? What are you talking about? Every time you copy a quirk, every single time you copy a quirk, the quirk you copied gets amplified 5 times. As All For One had a wicked smile on his face. He had a wicked smile on his face. That means that this red lightning that he's copied is amplified 5 times. As then All For One got out of the tube. He got out of the tube. And he basically said, I'm gonna test out my quirks the quirk that I've copied, the lightning manipulation quirk, to see if what your claim is really true. And then the doctor smiled. He was smiling because he knew this was gonna please his master. As then Izuku charged up lightning in his hands. Red and black lightning. As he shot up the red and black lightning, he shot it at his old body, his All For One body. And once he shot it up, the force was so mighty that it broke the entire facility. Yes, killing everyone in that facility, every worker. And even the doctor himself. But Izuku was alive because Izuku transformed into lightning and went through electrical currents, leaving the facility before it broke, because he saw that the facility was falling. So he used electrical currents to travel through and save himself. And that will be it. That will be it for part 1. Or I might do a double upload today. Depends how I'm feeling. Well, I gotta get homework done first. So yeah.